Hello once again, Star Wars and Unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing Show. I am your host, Darth Tuba, knocking things over. And my apologies for a lack of episodes. I did drop a non-Star Wars, non-unboxing related, and it was the first time I ever got a non-like. So I apologize for that. I will restrict this channel to Star Wars and unboxing videos only moving forward. So today we are continuing our retrospective of the Phantom Menace 20th anniversary. Yes, the movie came out about a week ago on May 19th, 1999, and it is now, at the time of this recording, May 25th, 1999. May 25th being another prominent date. Many call it the actual Star Wars Day. None of this May the 4th stuff. Personally, I'm up for any day to celebrate Star Wars, and I do mean any day. So it's all good with me. But May 25th, of course, the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, wasn't called Episode 4 back then, wasn't called A New Hope back then, it was just called Star Wars, and it was released 42 years ago in just a handful of theaters. And no, contrary to popular belief, although I was alive, I did not see it on the opening day. I did see it in the summer when the movie took off and was released in all the theaters around the nation, and I was able to see it then, and I think I saw it multiple times, and it was awesome, and here we are. So 42 years later, and I am still obsessing about it. So there you go. Pretty important date. So I thought this would be a good day to continue our retrospective. And honestly, folks, I could probably have a Star Wars 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace channel and just devote it to nothing but that product, because they released so much of that product. So what does that mean? Nothing. I'm not going to do that, of course, but this will probably be the main part, but the part two, if you will, of this. There's plenty of other stuff to go on. I will probably just go through most of it in my shelf talking episodes, okay, which there will be one coming up which will feature a couple of items from the shelf talk. They're from the episode 1 merchandise. So we will kind of wrap it up here because we've got other things to talk about. We've got Galaxy's Edge coming out. No, as I've mentioned, I will not be present at the Disneyland opening. I won't even be present at the Magic Kingdom and Disney World opening, Hollywood Studios. I will be present in Disney a few more times this year. I hope to get there. Well, we of course always go in the summer, in which case we will give you some unboxing and update episodes there. But I also plan to be there around the holidays this year, both Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we're hoping maybe one of those two trips I'll be able to somehow get into Galaxy's Edge and maybe do either a live show or just a recorded show from there. So we'll see how that works. But in the meantime, we're not talking about Galaxy's Edge. No, we're talking about Episode 1. We're talking about 1999, Phantom Menace. Unbelievable hype, and let me tell you something. Even now, with the hype that we had for Last Jedi, that we had for Solo, that we have for the Rise of Skywalker, for the Mandalorian, for Galaxy's Edge, and that's a lot of hype, my friends. Galaxy's Edge is a lot of hype. Pales in comparison, my friends. Pales in comparison to the hype that existed for Episode 1. Because as I mentioned in the last episode about this, it was the first time in 16 years that we have new Star Wars content. New characters. Old familiar characters when they were younger in their heyday. So it was pretty exciting. Now, there are many, and we've talked about this, there are many that were, of course, I would say the unkind word is haters. But I think a better word would be just very critical. People that were very critical of the Phantom Menace. It was not what they was expecting. It wasn't what they really felt that they wanted. I was one honestly, and I've said this on many episodes, that absolutely adored the movie. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it's among John Williams' best work musically. I thought it was visually extremely stunning. I really enjoyed what George Lucas was able to do with scope and how he was able to really achieve like that Ralph McQuarrie sense of scale. Ralph McQuarrie being the original concept artist for the original trilogy. All of his paintings had a lot of scale. It had large backdrops, large pieces of scenery with little tiny people in the foreground, so you could sense the scale. And they did a pretty good job with that with Star Wars and Empire and Jedi, but they were really able to achieve a lot more, I think, with the prequel trilogy. Story-wise, I felt it was a thinner story, but I also felt that you got to have a thinner story because that wasn't the main story that he told it originally. This was a prequel, and this wasn't the most exciting story. However, I thought he did a really great job of making it exciting. I loved the brave and bold choices of making Anakin Skywalker an 8-year-old boy and letting him be a kid, letting him be a happy little kid, because everybody starts off like that somehow. Everybody starts off with a kid playing in the streets, and how does one person go from that to Darth Vader? Okay, just like how does a baby become Hitler? You can always ask that until you're blue in the face. Well, there's lots of circumstances. So I thought the circumstances were great. Anyway, enough talk about the movie. Let's talk about the merch. Let's talk about everything that was coming out. Now, let me tell you something, folks. There was so much stuff. I mean, what I said were brought up in the last episode was just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm going to move Mr. Jar Jar here over for a little bit. I'll get to all the things that you see here. But I want to talk about one of the first things that came out. And these are actually, and I'll get some close-up shots of these. These are actually Sith, this is a Sith accessory set. Okay, and this one is an underwater accessory set. These, the date on these is 1998. So these were actually put together before the movie even came out, a year before it was being, still being, post-production. They did not come out. They were supposed to come out around the time that all of the stuff came out. I forget the date. It was pretty close to May 19th. I would get I want to say very end of April, somewhere around there, right? That's when the embargo was lifted and all the merchandise went out. And that was huge. We're talking whole aisles, as I've mentioned. Whole aisles in Toys R Us. Whole aisles in Walmart devoted to the Phantom Menace. Well, I remember very vividly. It's kind of like a weird thing to remember. But I remember the few days before, maybe 2 days before, 1 day before, I was driving home from work, and there was a Kmart. There was a Kmart of all places, which I don't really frequent. It just happened to be on the way home, on the way back from work. So as I was passing, I was like, let me pull in and see. You never know. I know that they say they're not allowed to put anything out there until this specific date. Well, I went into Kmart, and I walk in and I look around and I go to the toy section, and lo and behold, they had some items, not a lot, but a handful of items. They decided, what the heck, we're putting them out. I don't care. So they had these underwater accessory sets and these Sith accessory sets. They had a few figures. They had a few items, but I remember these two specifically mainly because they're still in the boxes. But they are basically just little pieces of extra stuff, like fins and a little fish, the breather masks, some spears, a backpack, another lightsaber, and a lightsaber without a hilt. So nice to have a few extra items, pretty cool. And I opted not to open these only because I knew that if I opened them, I would lose all those pieces. Just would, because things get lost. The Sith accessory set I thought was cool. It had a little sandy, kind of mound with a spot to put one of those probe droids he had, and there was a second probe droid too, a lightsaber without, with just the hilt, his macro binoculars, a little, I think a little extra cloak, and I think, and a missile firing backpack. All the stuff, of course, that Darth Maul had and of course needed, but still, that was really, really cool that I saw them and I was excited and I felt like I was, I felt like I was cheating. Like, oh my God, I've got a few products before the dates came out. Little did we know that once that day, that midnight madness, it truly was madness. But you had rows of places to go, and you could fill carts up. I think I filled up a cart and a half of stuff, and there were still plenty hanging on the pegs. That's one of the reasons why, to this day, they've never done that much of a release of merchandise since. It was still pretty big for episode 2 and episode 3, but once they got to the sequels, once they got to the Disney era, no, it was a much more laid back. I'm very glad I went early. In fact, it was my wife, who Mrs. Darth Tuba, Rogue Porg fan on Twitter. She said to me when I was first going to go out, I was going to not go out until 11:30, and she said to me, this is for the Force Awakens, when the Force Awakens Star Wars Day or whatever it was, Force Friday they called it. She said, you should go early. You should go closer to 10 o'clock. And I said, why? It's only 20 minutes away. She's like, yeah, but you're going to want to, I just have a feeling, just go. it's going to be crazy. And I did. I went, and there was nobody there. And I thought, oh, what's she know? That was silly. Someone got to sit and wait here. Well, not 10 minutes after I got there, hordes of people showed up. And by the time we got to the actual time, it was 200 people lined up to go into Toys R Us. And there wasn't that much. I was able to go in and pretty much take one of everything that I wanted, and I walked out in 15 minutes. And it was great. And I got home, and I got to bed, because I had to go to work the next day. So it was cool. But, yeah, it was a challenge. And a lot of people walked away with nothing because there wasn't enough product. So, anyways, back to episode 1. So, you'll notice I'm wearing a Star Tours t-shirt. I was going to wear another t-shirt. I was going to wear this t-shirt. But then I decided not to, because to look at it, you say, why would Darth Tuba be wearing this? It just says, it has the Pepsi logo, and it says the joy of cola. Quite true. And I decided not to wear it because I wanted to show it to you from the back, and I didn't want to put it on backwards. So, see, from the back, it looks like this. And I'll get a close-up shot of this. But here we have this really interesting character. He was designed by ILM strictly for commercials, but as one of the type of digital characters. He was designed strictly as a character to help promote the Star Wars Pepsi promotion. And remember what I said in the last episode, PepsiCo, which owns not only Pepsi, but Frito-Lay, and Taco Bell, and KFC, and Pizza Hut, and a bunch of other things. They did a huge, like, I think it was close to $4 billion marketing campaign for it. So this is part of it, and it was really cool. And I think I ordered this online. I think I had sent in proofs of purchase from Pepsi boxes or something, and I was able to get this character. And he was in. You can even look him up on there are the cans I showed you about. And I don't know if I can see it on this camera. Oh, I think my box there is blocking it, the Jabba sail barge. But there's a whole set of cans there. And you can see that he's pretty much, shelling out the, to go and get the Pepsi cans, the special Pepsi cans. So that was really cool. And also with PepsiCo, and this could be a little tricky if I can do this without knocking everything over. If you went into stores, you could find this. You could find get this so I can see it. Inflatable Pepsi cans. This is the one with the Qui-Gon Jinn character, Liam Neeson's character. They were just inflatable, and they would usually hang. And any place that sold soft drinks, you would be able to get them. So of course, when makes a good beach ball too. When the whole thing ended and things to calm down, and later in the summer, most people just took those home, sold them on eBay, whatever. I ended up buying mine on eBay years and years later when everything had died down. Most of the product is was so overproduced in terms of numbers that none of this is really hard to get. Anything that I show you today, if you go on eBay or in toy shows and stuff, toy hunts, you could probably find it for about what you would have had to pay in the store, if not less, with the exception of a few things here and there. Now, if I can just reach over here without knocking anything over here, I want to show you this, another cool little item. Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut actually had pizza boxes. So that was fun. I would go to get a pizza, and oh look, this is one I wasn't even expecting. I show up, and oh look, there's Qui-Gon on a box. And then if you got a smaller pizza, if I can open this up, there's one with a little Anakin on it. All right, it's kind of cool. So I got a couple of these. I decided to keep a few. I wasn't going to go nuts, and I think there was probably 4 different types, or 4 different types of big ones, 4 different types of little ones. So, and I think KFC did chicken buckets. In fact, I know they did, because I even had like the lids were frisbees, were plastic, kind of 3-dimensional almost frisbees. One of them I think had Jar Jar on it, and I think another one had maybe Battle Droids on it. And I think I have them somewhere, but you got to remember the collection is so vast that it's kind of hard to pick out individual things here and there. So anyway, so there were a couple of other things. Another big licensee that got on board was Tiger Electronics. And Tiger Electronics released a few things. And Tiger, for those who don't know, Tiger Electronics is basically a game-based thing. And this is one of their games. Now, it looks like just a Naboo Royal Starship kind of playset. And it sort of is. Because, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But in the front here, and I'll get a close-up of this, you can see that it's got a little bit of a screen. And if you turn it on, let's see if you can hear it from here. Oh. And it's got like, and if anybody remembers, if anybody remembers games like Coleco Football, or like those little handhelds, like Groot was playing one. It's basically that. Very, very basic graphics. And now I'm gonna turn this off so that there we go. Really basic graphics, and they had a whole bunch of games like that, all decked out differently. Some looked like devices from the movie, that type of thing. So, but the really cool thing about this one, I bought a few of them, and I think I got rid of a few over the years. But the thing I liked about this one was because it came with an actual action figure. It came with Anakin Skywalker with the helmet on, and I think this might be one of the only ways you can get young Anakin with the Naboo Fighter helmet on. So I thought that was cool. So that one, it stays in the collection because it is a figure. That's one thing. Like, people ask me, like, what do you collect? What do you collect specifically? And I've said on the channel, I like to collect anything that's oddball, anything unique. But I also like to collect the figures. I'm a figure collector since day one, and that's kind of where my collecting takes me. So there we go. Put him over here. Cool. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room at the moment, or should I say the big silver Royal Starship, as in the Queen's Royal Starship. Probably the most awesome toy to come out of the Episode 1 toy line. Okay, not as popular as other things. Was certainly not the same level of popularity as the Death Star space station, in the AT-AT in the original trilogy, but a really cool toy nonetheless. First, let's see if I can get this thing to run. It came with this little device, which was a Droid Fighter, a little handheld Droid Fighter with a little handle similar to the Tiger Electronics, and it had a little thing where and I think what I have to do to activate it is what I did before. This worked in practice. Is I had to like activate it that way. There's batteries in this, batteries in that, and then it had if you sit there, it's like shows it flying around. It's like an alarm. Hit it again. It's like it's firing guns, and then there's a little explosion. And then it does it again. Keep your eyes here, hopefully. Oh, exploding away features. Whoa. And then there's like a little explosion here. So let's see if it does it again. See little lights up there? It's cool, right? I mean, it's a nice little play feature, okay? But that's not all, though. That is not all, not by a long shot. So, see if I can do this without knocking anything over. First of all, you can take this off, or lift it up like this, and then set up a little ramp. So that's really cool. And then you can pull a little thing off like this, and then this is the part that's really cool. It kind of slides open. All right, I'm gonna move you this way. Gonna move Jar Jar. Gonna move this. There you go. So now you have a full-out play set, which includes a couple of things. It includes a little Droid Space for one of your R2 units. This R2 unit actually came with the unit. It came with the thing, and it can come out and it can go onto the ship and make repairs, and then get blown away by Trade Federation ships. So, there you go. And in addition to that, if you pull, all right, I'm going to try to do this without knocking things over. There we go. You can pull this out, and then you have another little Naboo speeder with a little missile. Kind of like that they stuck to the yellow color. Okay, so it's good. You got a little extra thing. You can put a character in there. All right, so some pretty cool things. All right, and then I decided to grab a little Qui-Gon. Put Qui-Gon here. Wouldn't have his lightsaber out, but that's all right. It even comes with a little. I'm trying to see if I can get this to. It comes with a hyperdrive, and look, one side damaged, the other side repaired. And I think it used to be that you can put this thing in and have it make noise, but I don't see that happening. So I will say this, one thing I've noticed, the labels. I put these labels on in 1999, maybe 2000, maybe a little later, and they are all coming off. They are all, I mean, I took this thing out, I just straighten it up, clean it a little bit, and they are all coming off. It is absolutely horrendous. But again, I don't think Hasbro designed these toys to be played with, you know what I mean, like forever and ever. They were just toys. They were plastic playthings. I just want to see if this activates anything here. No, it doesn't. Okay. All right. So this, yeah, once you turn that thing off. Now there might be other activating buttons and stuff, but I haven't been able to locate them. So I'm going to let it go for now. I did have a couple of action figures here. I wanted to put a little Queen Amidala. She has a little throne down here. Okay, I'm gonna get some close-ups. She can't really sit in the throne, but but it was really cool that they had a ship that was able to fold open, almost like a transformer, into a playset. I thought that was really clever. I thought that was a brave thing for them to do. Okay, and a smart thing for them to do. So next up, all right, I got a couple of things here. I've got good old Palpatine, and Palpatine comes with one of these, and I've had some previous episodes where we talked about this, so I'm going to put Palpatine down and just focus my energies here on this. This is what they call the COMMTECH chip. And a COMMTECH chip came with, you could get a device like this, which looks very much like the walkie-talkies, little communicators that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were using. But this one, it's a little bigger, and you press it up, and you put this on it.
You have been well trained, my young apprentice. Wipe them out. All of them.
This is the precursor to the figures with the Force Link that happen now. Right now, they have been able to scale this down. Rather than have this, they've scaled this down to basically this size, okay, which is really just, see how much smaller it is? And they've scaled the chip size down small enough that it actually fits underneath as a little tiny chip in the foot of the action figure. But this is what...
Queen Amidala is young and naive.
It sounds very metallic and synthesized. I love it. I can't get over how awesomely low-tech, even though it is high-tech. So I just thought that was really cool. They came out with a bunch of figures like this. Here's some. I just got some that would fit in this particular playset.
Spread out and destroy the droids. Get to the speeders.
You can even press a few buttons. Oh yeah, some sound effects. I think they're...
Blasters ready. Fire.
So that was cool. And then we had we have Rick Oley, who's a Naboo pilot.
Bravo Flight A, take on the fighters. Flight B, make the run on the transmitter.
Sometimes it's hard to understand what he's saying.
Enemy fighters, straight ahead. That deflector shield is too strong. We'll never get through it.
I feel like sometimes their voices are the actors and sometimes they're not.
Bravo Flight A, take on the fighters. Flight B, make the run on the transmitter.
So some really cool options for play parts. So overall, just a really fun time. A lot of great ways to be imaginative, and also, of course, they also took some of the imagination away by giving you these COMMTECHs. But it was still a cool thing. I mean, I remember, Hasbro was trying to up their game. It was not just about, certainly not just about, doing the same exact thing that they did for the original trilogy. They wanted to do some more, So, but anyway, so really cool ideas, really cool options, and I always liked it. I always loved the. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. There it is. I always loved the speeder, the Naboo Royal Starship. I just thought it was classy. It just looked amazing, and another label just fell off. I will say this: if that happens to you, I did print out some labels that some places online were able to manufacture, like basically a copy of. I don't know if they're the exact size. I assume they are, but you can play with that, and I'm sure some people have made full websites devoted to replacement labels and things like that. So that's a cool thing to do. Although you got to work on. Do you want it to? I mean, if you're looking for it to be an original and not be restored. I mean, look, this piece is out of the box. It's not mint. It's been played with. So at the end of the day, this is I don't even know, honestly. Some purists might tell me, well, you're missing this, or you're missing this piece, or you're missing that piece, and they might very well be true. So I get that. But we have 2 more items I'm going to share with you, and but in order to share with you those items, or I should say 4 items. But in order to share with them with you, I have to do a little set change. So we'll be right back in 1 second. Hang on. And last but not least, we have these. Now, what are these? Well, I do think it might have been Tiger Electronics. Let me see if this one has a name on the bottom of it. Oh no, it says I'm a thinking toy. Think Away Toys. That's what it was. Think Away Toys. Think Away Toys actually came out with something before the prequels even came out. It was a bank, and it was a little bank that had I can't remember if it was R2 and 3PO or Vader. It was one or the other. That basically I think it was Vader, and it was essentially just standing there, and you press a button, and he would say, "Impressive, most impressive, but you're not a Jedi yet." And his lightsaber would light up and kind of swing around like this, kind of like an animatronic from Disney World. And the coin that you put a coin next to him. It was almost like a take on those old-fashioned banks, those little cast iron coin banks where you put a little coin, next to 2 characters, and they either juggle them or do something to get the coin to go into the bank. This was kind of a high-tech version of that. And they were great. And I do have the Vader one, and I do have the second incarnation, which is the R2 and 3PO, although they've both since broken. They don't work anymore. So they since then, when Episode 1 came out, the big reveal was, and I'm going to put Jar Jar down a minute here because I'll come back to him in a second. But the big reveal was this: they sold 3 characters. Obviously, we have Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn. Okay, you can buy them separately, or you buy them together, or buy them and put them together. They kind of join in together at the bottom, and they have little buttons that you can activate, and you activate one, and they all come together. Now, let me just. I'm going to set these for play, and let's hope this works because I checked it and it worked a second ago. Let's do Qui-Gon.
I sense a disturbance in the Force. I feel it also, Master. I have a bad feeling about this. It's the Jedi.
It's like watching the movie, right? It's incredible! And it still works 20 years later! And then, we done? We good? We good? I'm gonna set. I'm hitting the reset buttons. So pretty cool stuff, right? I mean, what a neat idea. Now, they were banks. They each had a little coin slot, and you could put a coin in. If you drop the coin in, they would work. If you didn't want to drop a coin in, you could just press this button on either one of them, and it would work. Now, let me see what happens if I press Darth Maul. Different button. No, I think it's the same thing. But it's still cool. Watch this. It even went out. That was new. I feel all right, dude. Settle down. All right, there we go. Play nice, boys. Play nice. All right, so really cool. The only thing that they weren't all that great as being was actual banks. Okay, first of all, because you were spending all your money to buy them. Okay, and second of all, because they just didn't have enough space to hold that much money. So, and then later on, and I think this might have been among the last toys. There was a Anakin Skywalker pod racer, and it wasn't a bank, it was a clock. It was a little digital clock, and it would go off an alarm, and you'd hear Anakin talk, and the thing would speed up and everything, would move back and forth. I had it out, but I had it on our laundry machine, and we put some wash in the dryer, and you know, as those who have dryers know, they vibrate, and the thing vibrated off of it and fell, and all of it broke. So I don't really want to show it to you. It's kind of sad. So I apologize for that, but that's okay. We still have Jar Jar. Jar Jar, I do not think. Here's the best part about Jar Jar. Jar Jar is not a bank. No, Jar Jar is nothing but Jar Jar. You press a little button.
Hello, Mr. called Jar Jar Binks. It's a time for a little boogie.
A little boogie? Drum solo. More drum solo. Okay. Now maybe I think. Oh wait. By the way, everything I say, he dances to. So if I go, hey, da, da, da. I'll put it in. Are we gonna be okay? Okay. I'm gonna talk a little softer. I think that one of the reasons that I fell in love with Jar Jar was this. I am not kidding. I don't know why. I just thought that was the funniest thing. And I just love the way he waved his arms and like that. So I just thought that was great. And he's still going. Hey. So anyway, if I press this again. Oh no. Maybe not.
It's time for a little boogie.
He does have an off button. So anyway, so that's like what I thought. I just fell in love with the character because I just thought that was the goofiest thing. And I also, like I said, I applauded George Lucas for, you know, going in the direction he wanted to go in, okay? If other people didn't like it, I get that, all right? I did not like every Batman movie. I did not like every Superman movie. I did not like every Star Trek movie, okay? And, I mean, you know, but I found something to like about all of them. And the same thing goes for Star Wars. I find something to like about all of them. And if you just take a step back and you just kind of relax a little bit and not be so intense about it. And I appreciate people that are intense. There are people that feel very strongly about these films. They feel like almost, you know, and remember, this is a modern day myth. But you have to understand something. There's a difference here. Myth was originally passed down for hundreds of years. So it was passed down in such a way that if people questioned it or talked about it, they talked about it in a much, much more grander and traditional, and you know, looking back over hundreds of years, looking forward into the future hundreds of years. It's not like that now. This is a movie, because while yes, it's mythos, it's also a movie, okay? And there are a lot of jaded people that think movies are just the cheapest and lowest form of lowbrow entertainment in comparison to theater or dance or what have you. So, that makes the discussion about it kind of feel like it's a waste, but I don't think so. I appreciate people's opinions as to why they didn't like it. I appreciate people's opinions about why they felt that certain decisions were made poorly and maybe should have been done in favor of another way. I appreciate that, and I don't even disagree on all counts. I just feel that the movie offered far more, and had far greater moments that made me smile than anything that made me frown. Particularly this movie. I can get into a whole thing about Episode 2 and about the whole romance between Hayden, the romance feeling between actors Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, which I do believe fell flat. But I just feel like when it comes to Episode 1, that movie I was giddy when I walked into the theater. I was giddy when I walked out. And I continued to be on the second viewing, the third viewing, the 10th viewing, and now 20 years later, God knows how many viewings. But I still pop that movie in, or in this case, put it up on streaming because I love it. So and there's so much product to remind me of it. So I'm really happy I had a chance to go through this kind of walkthrough of some of the merchandise. I mean, there was so much more, folks. I mean, this video is already approaching 40 minutes, so I'm going to let it go from here. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Again, I'm sorry I wasn't absent. I was absent from video drops for the last couple of times. I should be back on track this time moving forward. And we do have a couple of good Hot Toy and Sideshow things coming in the mail soon, hopefully. I think some Gentle Giant stuff as well. We've got these new. I'm in the process of searching for these new, these new vintage Star Wars figures, and I have not been able to locate them yet. So hopefully making a Target run tomorrow. So we'll see what happens then. And just lots of exciting things on the horizon. So not to mention another trip down to Disney, where we'll be looking at seeing what they have going on there. So I'm looking forward to that. So thank you so much for watching. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Darth Tuba, Star Wars Unboxing page on Facebook. And until next time, may the Force be with you. Wait, no, we're not going to do it normal. We're dancing out. Until next time.
Hi there. Mr. Jaja Binks. It's a time for a little boogie.
See you next time.